Hey, hello guys, and welcome to the gaming news update. I'm So's Universe, of course, and today is should be a very exciting day for anybody who is a fan of Nintendo because, well, I know some of you have been very suspicious, have been very curious about what Nintendo is planning for the next few months and whether or not a new Switch model is coming. Well, thanks to the latest information from last night, it seems as though Nintendo is planning a new hardware in 2020. Well, there is a new hardware planned in 2024. The plan is for it to launch around Christmas time of 2024, so around the late half of 2024. They're hoping to release the next gen Switch console, which is essentially what we're basically going to name it as Nintendo Switch 2. And yeah, some new information has finally come out. So make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll probably have a look at some of the articles regarding this new successor for Nintendo Switch because um because there has been some details about what to expect from this hardware has come out as well. So obviously, as you can see here, they mentioned that it's currently set to debut in the second half of 2024. Development kits for the console have been pushed to third-party developers. So third-party developers have already got access to the hardware, or at least the development side of the console, which is really good to see. So already some third parties are already working on building games for Nintendo Switch 2 ahead of its debut next year. So that means many of these games are already in development, which is nice to hear. Eurogamer sources also expect a launch window in the late half of 2020, the late first half of 2024 for the next Switch console, which remains playable in a handheld configuration. So it looks like the handheld feature is going to remain in Nintendo Switch, the new Nintendo Switch, which is pretty. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very pleased to hear about that. And it looks like the first half of next year is when the release date for the Switch will be confirmed. All right, so the Video Game Chronicle, who are the guys who first reported about this, have said that reports centers development sources which claims that Nintendo is looking to debut its new console with the LCD screen rather than OLED in order to cut costs. So LCD screen is apparently going to be a part of this hardware. The system is also reported to continue reading physical media as a coverage. Okay, so fair enough. So physical media will exist on the Switch too. For those who are curious whether or not they're not going to bring them back, luckily they are. There are questions though about backwards compatibility. Will Switch 2 support Switch games? Video Chronicle states that some third-party publishers have suggested to include a feature that can cannibalize their ability to resell old games on Nintendo's new hardware. Nintendo widely expects to be to cover a new hardware as Switch hardware sales continue to slow. Switch software remains hugely profitable at the present. However, Nintendo recently announced a bumper of crop of games which will see the Switch's current hardware generation extend to the first half of next year. So obviously these games are going to include Super Mario Wonder, Super Mario RPG, a new Wonder Wade game, as well as a Princess Peach game, and an enhanced version of Lunga's Mansion 2 that are going to be coming in 2024. But these feel likely arrive before the Switch sees its final summer before the year's profitable holiday season. The longly delayed Metro Prime 4 remains undated, so obviously, Eurogamer are trying to get Nintendo to comment towards this story, which will be very interesting to see if they respond. They might not, but you never know. They might respond to it. But yeah, Video Game Chronicle are obviously the guys who obviously reported this information. So their report seems to be saying in terms of what they're saying right now, they're saying that according to multiple people with knowledge of the Nintendo's next-gen console plans, the company is likely to release the new hardware during the second half of 2024 to ensure that it has optimal stock available on day one to avoid the kind of shortages seen with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S, which is very good to see that Nintendo are trying to avoid the shortage problem, the scalper problem, which is nice to see. Although specific details of the console are being kept close guarded, though Video Game Chronicles spoke to indicate that the new next-gen console will be able to use a portal mode similar to Nintendo Switch. Two sources to Video Game Chronicles spoken suggest that the console could launch with an LDC CD screen instead of a more premium Elden in order to bring down costs, especially considering the increased storage needed for highly fireable games. The current Switch comes in at just 306 comes in at 32 gigabytes of internal memory, whereas many of the current PS5 and Xbox games are over 100 gigabyte, which is something that they brought up very nicely. Like its predecessor, the new Nintendo console will also accept physical games valid a cartridge slot. Other details, such as backwards compatibility support for Switch games, physical and digital, remains unclear. Nintendo has said it wants to convert as many Switch's 1 million user interface as possible to its new system. Although some third-party publishers have said they have expressed concerns that legacy support for Switch games could negatively affect sales of the next-gen's title. Nintendo didn't immediately respond to Video Game Chronicle requests for comment for this story. So, yeah, they're keeping that very, very quiet, which is interesting. However, though, they do say that the Tokyo-based industry told Video Game Chronicle that the 2024 console launch would make sense for Nintendo since its project sees digital... yeah, so they're kind of just looking at sale figures, really, now, and that's kind of what they're pushing towards. But yeah, so from the looks of things, I think that the main thing we can take away is the fact that, well, the only things we basically know about this hardware is the fact that they're definitely trying to get as enough stock as possible for day one to make sure that it avoids any shortages or scalper problems, which the PS5 and Series X and S experience. For anybody who tried to get those consoles at the time, obviously will know what it was like to try and get the PS5 and Series X and S at launch. Also, the fact that the next gen consoles are going to be using portal mode, and there's going to be an LCDC screen that's going to be in question for that, and also the fact that they're looking to improve the gigabyte size, which is good to see. So there's obviously a lot riding with Nintendo Switch 2, and from the looks of things, they want to get it out by the end of the year, and obviously developers already have access to this hardware, which is great to see. So it's nice to see that a lot of developments have started to occur with this, and it's also good to see that developers are already starting to work on the hardware now. So at least we're now getting at least some details of what to expect from the Nintendo Switch 2 as it releases in 2024, which is really, really good to hear. So, yep, so that's pretty good to hear that Nintendo Switch 2 looks set to launch at the end of next year. So we can definitely expect to hear more about this over the course of, like I said, over the course of, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll get confirmation of the hardware's existence, and then obviously the release date will be announced in the first half of next year, when Nintendo will be sharing more details about Nintendo Switch 2 and its games that we can expect in the later half of 2024. All right, in terms of other news, we do have, of course, the Cult of the Lamb's got a expansion delay. As you can see, they've delayed one of their expansions by nearly, they've delayed it a little bit. They delayed it. Well, it's meant to be, like I said, there was supposed to be the first expansion is supposed to be releasing in early 2023, but that's been delayed. But they promise some surprises are going to come very soon. So we should be hearing more about that in the coming weeks, which is going to be great. So it's nice to see that they're going to be letting us know a new release date when they're ready. And then, of course, speaking of hardware, well, software updates, Sony finally gave us an update regarding the PS5 beta for the 8.0 update, which is going to be dropping later this year. And we're finally going to discuss about some of the features that are going to come into this version, which includes some new accessibility features, which now allows you to use a second controller for an assist now. They say here that you can assist a second controller to one controller as an assist controller, use the two controllers to operate the PS5 as you were using a single controller. This feature introduces a new way for you to enjoy games collaboratively with others or help a friend or a child navigate specifically challenges sectors of the game, which is pretty nice. System UI haptic feedbacks, they're going to give you the option to turn on and off the haptic feedbacks whilst you're navigating the controller. That also works with the DualSense controller, DualSense Edge, as well as the PlayStation VR 2 Sense controller. They're also going to be adding support for Dolby Atmos enabled audio devices, which also are powered by Temper 3D Audio Tech. So they're going to now be offering that going forward. There's also PlayStation UI updates where you can now invite a party or player into a closed party without automatically adding the player into the group and creating a new group. And additionally, players can send open and close party invites to a group instead of only individual players, which is nice. Shared screen previews. You can now see a shared screen preview now. When someone shares their screen, you can get a preview before you enter, which is nice. Join friends game sessions easier, so they're now making it easier for you to join their game sessions. There's also a tournament section in your game hub. As you can see here, they're now showing you any tournaments you've entered or any tournaments that are coming up. There's also react. You can now react to messages with emojis now, which is now a thing. They're also making it easier for you to search for games in your library. Game help improvements. So they're going to be improving your game help cards to make it easier to find them. Obviously, there's also a discover new features in the discover tips section, so you can see all the new features as they become available. And they're finally going to give us the option to mute the PS5 beep sound, which is absolutely amazing because we need to. Yeah, it'd be nice to mute that. Well, good news is you'll now be able to do that, and you can even do it, put it whilst it's in rest mode as well, which is nice. And they're also supporting larger M.2 SSDs with up to 8 terabytes, which is pretty nice. So you can now have even more storage through these SSDs on your PS5, which they're going to be adding more support to them. But they do say though, you have to meet the requirements on this page if you want to use the 8 terabyte versions. So there you go. So that is some of the features that are going to be coming to the PS5 later this year, and they're doing a beta test right now. So if you've got access, then definitely let me know what you think of it. Also, Final Fantasy XIV's got a new online expansion called Dawntrail that's going to be coming in summer of next year that you can check out. And speaking of Final Fantasy 14 online, Xbox have actually announced through their Xbox Wire that they are going to be offering Final Fantasy 14 online on Xbox Series X and S in spring of 2024, and they're actually going to be they're finally going to bring it to Xbox, which means that not only will they be bringing the full game to Xbox, but there's going to also be a free trial available at some point. So they are going to be offering an open beta as well as a free trial in the near future, so you will be able to try out a free trial as well as an open beta for the game on Xbox Series X and S, which is good. And of course, they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna launch it in spring 2024 for Xbox Series X and S, which will come with faster loading times and 4K support for Series X, which is pretty nice. And of course, there's going to be a duty support system that allows single player fans to enjoy the story at their own pace, which is going to be super nice. And and even Phil Spencer even said that they're working closely with Square Enix to hopefully get more of their games on Xbox, which is really cool. So now we're going to be able to hopefully see a lot more of hopefully more Final Fantasy games are going to make their way to Xbox, hopefully in the near future, which would be nice. So we can hopefully see more and more of Square Enix's popular titles made their way to Series X and S in the near future, which is going to be nice. And speaking of Xbox, they've actually updated their um, Xbox games with Gold is now getting removed, and it's going to be replaced with Xbox Game Pass Core, which is coming in September. Launches September 14th, and this is going to replace the games with Gold system and Xbox Live Gold. And it will now give you obviously access to multiplayer networks as well as a selection of 25 games to play with friends around the world, exclusive membership deals. And basically, it's a part of the Game Pass ecosystem. So basically, from September 14th, you'll be able to play the following games. You'll be able to play Among Us, Descender, Dishonored 2, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, for Horizon 4, State of Decay 2. You have Elder Scrolls Online, Halo 5, Halo Wars 2, Gears 5, Grounded, just to name some of the games that you'll be able to have access to for simply getting the Game Pass Core membership. But they are going to be adding new titles. Will be added 2 to 3 times a year, so they will be updating this list over the course of the year, which is going to be great. So yes, if you want to learn more, there'll be a link in the description, which is basically to give you a heads up that, hey, they're getting rid of the Xbox Live Gold memberships, are going to convert into Xbox Game Core memberships, and they're going to be ending games with Gold on September the 1st. So make sure to keep that in mind. And then, of course, there's a new Xbox home screen as well for anybody who's running on Xbox One or Xbox Series X and S. They're updating the home screen ready for the games, ready for like obviously big release, obviously, so it makes it easier to find games and sort of improve your background, which is super nice if you want to support the. So this is basically a new way to just support your systems, really, which is kind of cool. So yeah, if you want to check out so be sure to look out for the new home screen as it rolls out to everyone over the coming weeks. If you're interested, that is. There's also a super spotlight that's going on where Microsoft are spotlighting some games over the course of the like I said, over the course of the all the way up to September the well, all the way up to September the 11th. They're going to be supporting some games as part of their summer spotlight, and in fact, it's all a part of a sale as well. And in fact, they've got some new deals here where Disney Speedstorm's on sale, and I think it's. Let me see. What are they pricing Disney Speedstorm at the moment? All right, I think it's on the next page. Disney Speedstorm, isn't it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so it's 30% off for the founders pack for that, and you have 6 days to take advantage of it if you want to go for it. And there's also got some backwards compatibility games on sale as well for anybody who wants to check out the sales that are currently going on. But yeah, apart from that, these are just some of the discounts that are going on at Xbox as they prepare for Gamescom announcements that are going to be coming up in the coming weeks as we're getting closer to Gamescom, which is going to be great. But yeah, as well as that, we also have a new car for Gran Turismo 7 coming as we are getting ready for the movie's release. Microsoft have obviously spoken to UK regulators, urging them to look at a new signing that they've done, which you can see in the link in the description if you want to learn more about the Activision Microsoft deal. And then of course they talk about some PS5 discounts that are going on right now for the hardware. As you can see, many of these are on discount right now, which is very, very handy for anybody who wants to get a discount on the PS5 and wants to get any of the PS5 items and games. They're now on discount, so take advantage of it is all I'm saying. And then And then alongside this, we did find out that there's going to be 5 months of paid content for Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. So there's going to be lots of content coming for that. Also, we found out recently that Helldivers 2 could be set for an October release due to a leaked document that came out that which insider gamers have said that that they're hearing that October 2023 is when Helldivers 2 is set to launch, given the fact that they've just had an age rating recently. So the game is due to have, so they're due to have an announcement soon about its release date. So yeah, it looks like October. So it looks like October 2023 is looking very likely for Helldivers 2 to finally launch on PS5 and maybe PC on the same month, which looks very, very promising. So there you go. And then we're still waiting to hear about this year's Call of Duty, which hopefully that will be announced soon as well. And then, of course, there's a lot of talk about Twisted Metal. There's also a new trailer for Mortal Kombat 1 recently as well, if you want to check that out. And they've also mentioned about Assassin's Creed Mirage is apparently not going to be as lengthy as Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla, which is nice to see. So they're not going to make it as long as that. But apart from that, really, that is pretty much all the discussions, really, all the stuff that's going on. We also found out the file size for Baldur's Gate 3, which is going to be roughly 122 gigabyte for PC, which means that it's probably going to be a little bit higher for the PS5, but we'll have to wait and see because it's not coming to PS5 till September the 6th, so we still have a little time yet until the PS5 release of the game. But regardless, though, I hope you guys, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this news bulletin, and let me know what you think about the fact that Nintendo Switch 2 is coming at the end of next year. Are you excited and ready for Nintendo Switch 2? I know I'm intrigued to see what Nintendo is going to do over the next few months and how they're going to reveal this new hardware, knowing that they haven't properly revealed the hardware yet, but they have talked a little bit about it, but they haven't properly announced the existence of Nintendo Switch 2. So we're kind of waiting to find out what the official name's going to be for the hardware and also what it's going to look like. I'm hoping we'll get to see some of that stuff by the end of the year. But either way, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.